Diane for that write-up. And then while I was doing the recording, I had noticed later on in the news there was a plane running over a boat as it was taking off. I was going to send it to you, but I just got tied up yesterday. I'll send it to you, and it's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
You know, they got seaplanes here in Vancouver, right? That go from
Yeah, I've
all over
taken
the
a
place.
seaplane.
Is that right? Okay. So
Yeah.
you know when the plane's taking off, it's kind of like going back, so it can't see anything in front of it, and this boat decides to go in front of it, and it was a little bit of a collision. Thank God no one was hurt seriously. So, but I'll send you the video later. I was gonna
John,
share
I
that.
can guarantee you now, I will never do that again then.
Well, you know, stuff happens, right? And I think I shared with you, I worked up in the high Arctic back in the late 70s, and you know, we flew what we call twin otters, which is twin prop engines, which is the same as what they were flying. They fly out of here on the waterfront. And of course, when you're up in the Arctic, winds can go all over the place, and so it was pretty dangerous flying up there. But you know what? Accidents have no boundaries; they can happen anywhere.
You're absolutely right.
Just like how we accidentally met. Now you're stuck with me, Peggy. Poor you.
Oh my God.
Poor you.
Poor me. It could be, yeah, a lot worse, I hope.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. So, okay, while we're waiting for everybody to jump in, tell me what's been going on this week. I'm sitting here in Connecticut, and it's a beautiful start to summer. Evelyn is in California where I'm living, and she tells me it's still gloomy there. So I'm so glad I'm not there. But what's going on in the rest of the country? Is it hot, Ashley? I don't know if you're on yet. We got to get a Texas update.
That's why I'm not on camera yet, because I went and did a sign across the street. Our neighbor had her baby yesterday, and so I'm sweating. It's already like 80 degrees outside, 85 or something. I don't know.
Is it really?
It's getting hot. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep,
So
yep.
Ashley knows I love hot weather. So anyways, great. Good to see you. How have you been?
Hey, good. Just got through taking my ABR exam.
Really?
I got to take two more electives to finish it, but then I'll be ABR certified. Got back from Europe, the European Mediterranean trip.
Oh my gosh.
Doing good.
Really good. Great.
Yeah.
We'll have to hear about that ABR. Did they teach about the new buyer broker representation, or have the classes been?
They just touched on the subject. They know everybody's doing kind of their own thing, but yeah, they touched on it quite a bit.
What were some of the biggest takeaways for you on it? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, again, I think you know, all the brokerages are going to create their own forms, and everybody's going to kind of have their own value add, but it's still, you know, an evolving thing. I think we're doing a really fantastic job. As a matter of fact, from what I can tell, we're probably way ahead of the curve from what everybody else is doing. So I felt good about that. Yeah.
That's good to hear. That's
Yeah.
really, really good to hear. Any of you guys seeing, you know, sellers trying to not pay commissions now at all? Have you run across that? Okay. I think we're all doing a real good job, like you said, of also educating our sellers that we need buyer brokers and we need representation. So, well, we are going to jump in. Anybody else got something they want to share with us? Oh, you guys are quiet again today. So I was talking to Ashley, and we always like to, you know, bring value to the meetings. And going to so many trainings that I do, going to Cabo and this place and that place and listening to speakers, I was going through some of my notes today and screenshots. And I've got to find out who the speaker was on this, because I want to, let's see. I think it was Matt Smith on this. But what this slide really represented to me was, he put up there, life doesn't happen to me. Life happens for me. So going into this, you know, we said on this, bring it on. What are you guys struggling with? What kind of questions? What kind of objections? Because we want to make sure that your life does happen for you. And we want to stay out of that victim mentality. Wouldn't everybody agree on that? And if it's life is happening to me, we're in the totally wrong mindset. So, you know, Grady, you just talk about being on a European cruise, man. Your life happened for you. You created that, right?
Oh yeah, I've never been to Europe, so you know, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't have I had a lot of perceptions, I think, preconceived perceptions of what it would be like, but it was unbelievable. Greece, Athens, we went to Corfu, we went to Turkey, and then we ended up in Venice, Italy, and unbelievable. I mean, it was just, I had such a fantastic time, and yeah, life was happening for me.
And that's what we need to focus on going into, you know, we should do that almost every day. Hi, Sarah, good morning. We need to, and there's Dee Dee, we need to really think about how going into the rest of this year, how do we make our life happen for me? And like we just said, I'll keep reminding people when they're jumping on, life doesn't happen to me. Life happens for me. So Grady, I just want to go back to that trip because that's a huge trip. That's not just something you wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going on a Mediterranean cruise. Okay.
Yeah, we had it planned for quite a while.
So what's quite a while?
6 months.
6 months. That's pretty good. That's really pretty good.
Yeah.
And were you living in the now? Were you living in the moment when you were there? Were you just kind of like,
like I said, it was just unbelievable. And again, you know, meeting the people you just interact with. We had a fantastic cab ride. We stayed in a VRBO in Athens. We had the Acropolis literally outside our window, so we're staring up at the Acropolis as we're staying in our VRBO. The VRBO owner arranged for a really cool cab driver, chauffeur, whatever you want to call it, to come pick us up at the airport and take us back to the VRBO. We stayed there in Athens for 4 days before we got on the boat. And the Greek people, I got to tell you, man, they are just so humble, so service-minded, so service-oriented. The food, unbelievable food. And then to top it all off, we had a great time while we were there. My wife has a very large diamond ring that I upgraded for her. And we ended up leaving to go get on the boat, and I had shoved it in the safe. And we were taking our passports in and out and taking money in and out and all that stuff. And we got ready and we packed everything up, and we got this cab driver to take us back to the boat. And we realized as we got in the boat terminal, she didn't have her ring. And I was like, oh my God. So I called the VRBO owner, and he said, hey, the couple that was supposed to move in to the VRBO is running behind schedule. Nobody's been there. The cleaners haven't even been there. And I said, can you please go back and check and see if that ring is in that safe? He calls me back and says, yeah, it's there. And I said, would you please put it in an envelope and bring it to the boat terminal? And he said, well, I can't come. I can't bring it for you. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I said, if I call our cab driver and have him come by and pick it up from you, can you? And sure enough, we got it all arranged. They put it in an envelope. The cab driver who just took us and dropped us off at the deal, picked it up from him, brought it back to the boat terminal, gave it to a steward on the ship, and they brought it up to our room. And I called this guy and I said, please tell me where I can Venmo you some serious cash. And he said, just consider that a Mother's Day gift. It was Mother's Day that all this stuff was going on. So anyway,
wow,
crazy.
Well, that's life didn't happen to you there. You didn't take that as a victim mentality. But one of the things that you said that I think is so important is that you said that the Greeks, you know, the city where you were, people are humble.
Yes.
People are service oriented. And I know that that's where we need to be going into this, is very service oriented. So in the, you know, how many of you get the text saying that we're doing Wake Up Wednesdays?
Mm,
Just Sarah? Okay, because we gotta,
I used to, but I don't get them anymore.
you used to, you don't get it in
same with me.
there.
I
Okay.
never did.
Do me a favor, can you guys text me directly with your email? We're gonna keep doing this because I'm gonna copy all this and send it over to Jean. We have Jean, as in Jean Frederick, and then we have little Jean who does the flyers for us. I just want to make sure that everyone gets on the update. So it's 860-638-7944. I want to make sure you guys get the text messages. And Evelyn, we can
Peggy.
add you to that too.
Peggy, when you say text message, are you talking about the workplace notification or a real text?
No,
message?
I'm talking about a real text.
Oh, I
that-
never got one of those.
Okay, let's get your name and everything on these lists to get this updated. So, okay, Ashley and I are here, fired off, guys. What's going on? What can we help you with today? How can we make sure that life is happening for you and not to you? Okay, it's gonna be, oh. Go ahead, Ash.
Well, I was just going to put it a different way. I like to call it who wants to be the hot seat, who has an issue that they've been struggling with, or something going on in their business that they just don't know what the solution is, and how can we get you on the right track for that.
Perfect.
That's the other thing.
That's what really went out in the text. So, who's got some stuff?
It could be tech, it could be lead gen, it could be hiring, team building. I got a text this week about self-organized team and team agreements, and I mean anything like that. Or it could be personal, like what are you stuck on?
Does everyone know? That's a great subject that you just brought up, Ash. Do you guys all know what a self-organized team is and a regular team? Are you interested in finding out?
Yes.
Okay, Ashley.
I'm up. So eXp has actually have 4 team structures, and we have the domestic team, which is a husband and wife partnership. And so each couple is allowed to choose when they join if they want to have one place in the RevShare organization tree, or if they want to hold 2 separate places. So a lot of people just assume that you have to, or that you should always do a domestic partnership. I'm not a proponent of that, because sometimes it is beneficial to separate them, in that in the long run, you're doubling down on your rev share, because you have levels 1 through 8 and 2 level 7s that you would be getting paid on. That's a much harder hill to climb, because now you've got to get double the amount of FLQAs, right? You got to get 60 instead of just 30 to get all 7 levels unlocked. But it's far more lucrative. So, and you don't, just because you have 2 places doesn't mean you have to pay 2 caps. Doesn't mean you have to run production through that second, person. So there's some switch costs there. So the domestic team is the first one. Then you have what we call a self-organized team. The self-organized team is really just an internal referral agreement to anybody else. There's no counted cap, so everyone's on a full $16,000 cap. And all you have to do, as far as is concerned, is submit your roster to eXp. There is no team agreement that eXp has to put. Your minimum splits, okay? So you could have a 95-5 agreement, 90-10, 80-20. It does not matter, okay? And you can have that be on some deals, but not all deals. Like, you can have whatever internal team agreement you want, with any agent that you want, and they can be anywhere in the country too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's a traditional team member is the benefit of the self-organized team. So this is a really great fit for brokerages or some teams that are coming over, in that, especially if they're coming over from a perpetual split model, and they're coming over to a cap model, because they can still net gain more being on a self-organized team and paying eXp a cap compared to what they were paying before. So being on a perpetual split. So that's really what the self-organized team is probably utilized for the most, or for someone who just doesn't have a traditional type of team model. So that's what the self-organized team. Then you have the standard team, which is the half caps, minimum 25% split on all team members. You have to submit all of eXp corporate. And then you have the mega icon team, which is a 4K cap. You have to have a minimum of 10 team members producing $4,000 in company dollar every year. So then the team members have to pay in $40,000 total minimum. And then, or you can have 20 team members that pay in $2,000 each. It's just the team collectively has to pay in 40. You as the team leader have to pay in a full 16K cap. And the benefit of the mega icon team is that the team leader can still earn a icon award based on that team's production. But the downside is if your whole team is on a 4K cap, then your RevShare is a quarter of the RevShare potential. So that's the other reason for the self-organized team, is because you're maximizing your own RevShare by keeping everyone at 16K caps if they're producing, the 80,000 in GCI that they would need to in order to cap at the 16. So that's my shortest summary of all 4 team options at eXp.
Questions?
Ashley, okay, so we're just organizing our team, and it was so confusing to me, that domestic thing. I didn't see the standard, but then I said I was doing a standard team with my husband, and then I was told that there's no benefit since he's not going to produce. So would he, because I was thinking the mindset of KW, right? I thought, oh, the more, levels, the better. So I'm still a little confused. So I choose to have him be in a standard team, but he's not gonna, we're gonna run everything through me as far as production. So does he need to produce them?
I would have him produce at least one transaction every 6 months that has $5,000 in GCI, because that's the other benefit, is he becomes an FLQA for you permanently.
Right.
But he doesn't necessarily have to pay in the full $8,000 cap. He just needs to stay qualified for you. So that is the benefit from the RevShare standpoint. And that's the hardest part from when you're talking to most internal staff members. John, you can probably speak to this. I don't know if we didn't talk about this last week, but we were both on growth. I was just on the US side for a little bit. We had a little overlap. But not all of the onboarding staff, right? Operational staff understand the switch costs between the benefits and the non-benefits and how it affects RevShare, right? They're only focused on the money or the production piece of it. And so why would you do 2 places when you can just have 1 cap, right? Well, that's the benefit. Now you're going to pay 2 separate office bills if you don't do the domestic team, because on a domestic team you pay $135 a month for both agents, 85 plus 50. And that way you both have your own eXp accounts, your own workplace accounts, all those things. But with 2 separate places, you pay the $85 twice. So again, short term, that's costing you more.
That's nothing.
But the benefit would be, but that's nothing, right? That's pennies on the dollar compared
Right.
to having a permanent FLQA. If you just run 1 transaction every 6 months with minimum $5,000 in GCI under your husband, now you have an additional FLQA for life, and he's never going anywhere from a retention standpoint.
Well,
Ashley, if I could add to that, and I've been away for a while, as you know, and I'm just kind of getting back in the mix, but certainly I think with this RevShare 2.0,
yes,
that opens up a lot of possibilities. So I'm just thinking out loud here, because again, I have to look at it a little bit more seriously since I just came back a week or 2 ago. But if it's me, if I'm doing domestic, I'm having my spouse on as an FLQA as well, because when you do start getting down levels 2, 3, 4, and 5, Now you're both getting rev share, like you said, and especially if you're doing, a deal every 6 months. So
Okay.
that's my initial
Yeah.
thoughts, but maybe Ashley, you can expand on that if you already haven't. I just had to step away for 2 seconds, but that's kind of where it is that RevShare 2.0 is phenomenal.
So
Yeah, we haven't really talked about this. So who knows that RevShare has a new version 2.0? Have you guys seen all of the updates about the RevShare payouts and everything? Do
Do you
you know?
understand?
before you go to that, Ashley, if I may.
That's a good question. I've got I'll post a couple presentations and recordings with some videos and stuff in the workplace chat for everybody today. Okay.
So I have a
don't
follow-up
know-
question.
Okay. So
Ashley?
we've always,
Sorry. So
okay.
if my husband was being onboarded this week, it's not too late to change that, right? 'Cause I remember signing something that said standard.
As long as you chose standard to begin with, then correct. It's not too late. You can always change your team type anytime you want. You can't
okay.
choose a different sponsor anytime. So
Okay. Got
if
it.
he chose you as a sponsor and came in separate and you did not choose domestic team, then yes, that's what you want.
Okay, thank
If
you.
you're wanting to go that route. Okay. Okay, so RevShare 2.0. This started, basically they backdated to May 1st, or rolled it out May 1st. And this is the new iteration of RevShare in order to A, keep the company sustainable, and B, to keep up with what other competition is out there now. Because, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, when all these people started attracting to eXp, we didn't have competition to begin with. Well, now we have at least 3 other RevShare models that we're competing with, and they're updating and changing their systems and their payouts and all of those things. And so we were starting to see a lot of retention issues and loss to some of that competition. So in order to stay competitive in our new world where we do have so much competition and these new models that have copied, a lot from eXp, that's what the alphas, right? Your top influencers, your Jeans, your Brents, your Sheilas, all these guys, they all came together and said, okay, what can we do? What can we do to stop bleeding, to, help retain, to help get people fired up again about attraction? And so the biggest thing to know is that before, your FLQAs were basically, you needed 5 to unlock each level. So, and it went up to 30. So you had 5 to unlock level 2, 10 to unlock 3, 15 to 4, 20 to 5, 25 to 6, and 30 to 7. Okay. Now you only have to have, or you have 0 FLQAs, and all 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3 are unlocked for you immediately. So you don't even have to have anybody in your front line. And now you're getting paid the highest percentage payout of RevShare on levels 1, 2, and 3. And so now, being a smaller organization, I only have 14 people and I only go through levels 4. So now I'm getting paid on 12 out of the 14 people. And I don't have to go out and recruit, 20 people to get to level 4 or 15 people to get to level 4, right? So that's the alphas sacrificed on their level 7 in order for us as smaller groups to be paid out the higher amounts on levels 1, 2, and 3. So that's the biggest gain for most of the smaller organizations. The second thing is that now 5 FLQAs unlocks level 4, 10 FLQAs unlocks level 5, 15 is level 6, and then it jumps to 30. So it's still 30 total, but that difference between level 6 and level 7 is 15 agents. So with 15 FLQAs, you have now unlocked 6 out of 7 RevShare levels.
Huge.
That's massive, right? That's a lot easier and something that you can accomplish a lot more quickly than getting to 25 FLQAs to get all 6 levels unlocked.
Ashley,
okay?
Ashley.
Uh-huh.
Additionally, if you bring in a capper, for every capper you bring into the company this year, the company's paying you $4,000.
The first year only, yes. So,
Right.
so I was getting there.
Totally.
Yes. So some of the the takeaways, okay, are that there's no longer what we called a buffer. So some of you may have heard about a buffer, some of you may have not. Not going to go into it. It's difficult to explain or understand. I don't even understand the algorithm or the calculation all that well, but I can explain it pretty great. But it's gone, okay? And all it did was say that of the company dollar collected total in the month is that we buffered it to 50%. So everyone got 50% of the company dollar received, and that could be that they added to the payout in RevShare pool, or they took away from the RevShare pool, but it always equals 50% total. And then there was a buffer on every level. And so if the first level payout was $2,800 before, you may have only gotten $2,300, right? Or $2,200 or something like that. So it was just an adjustment to balance it out to a perfect 50%. That is gone. And so instead, now level 1, the payout is $1,400 total, but you get the full $1,400. No matter what, okay?
Mhm.
But on that level 1, if it's a recruiter, if the recruit is a capper and they produce 80,000 in GDI, which equals $16,000 cap, then the first year only that they're with eXp, their first anniversary year, you as a sponsor get $4,000 the first year. Then you get the $1,400 year 2 and beyond, okay? So I don't know off the top of my head because I have not memorized all of these yet, and I haven't even updated my calculators completely. But every single level had kind of an adjustment of what those payouts were in order to remove the buffer permanently. Okay. So you're getting less, and it all equals. So before, the total payout was $16,000, but then there was the buffer, so it was a little less than that in all 7 levels. Now the total payout is $8,000. So that goes back to the company being more sustainable because now they're able to keep a little bit more of that company dollar. Whereas if someone had all 7 levels unlocked in their entire line, then eXp was losing the full 16K, right? So now they're keeping a little bit more, but they're also giving more back on those first 3 levels in order for you to have them unlocked immediately at all times. Okay?
Do you have a chart with the payouts?
Yes,
'Cause
I
still
do.
have the 2,800 in my mind.
Yeah, I do have the levels, and like I said, I've got a slideshow, and I've got 2, I think, video recordings I can post in the group chat for you guys to watch to really get a good explanation, breakdown, all of that stuff. Okay.
So
Hey,
Ashley, go ahead, Grady.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Grady.
Has anybody put together from marketing or eXp put together a side-by-side comparison of the old plan versus the new plan?
I don't know about a side by side, but there is an updated chart with all the levels, and it's the exact same chart as it was before with all the new numbers. So if you wanted to see a side by side, you could kind of make it yourself. But I haven't seen a direct side by side yet.
Okay, thank you.
So Ash,
But it does look the same.
my question
Really?
is, since the payout on the second level is larger, is it better to start growing since we don't need, X amount of people on our first level to unlock, is it better to help our agents that we bring on and get them?
I think the answer is the same. Yeah, I think that mentality is the same, right? I think it was always beneficial because level 2 is higher. Level 2 is still a higher amount than level 1. So there's still that short-term gain to help your people grow, but you still have to be selfish at some point because even if you don't get to 30, you still want to get to 15 as quickly as possible, especially if you have people in your level 6. So it's kind of this, to me, it's always been a delicate balance, right? Like I've seen some influencers who gave away, and they didn't have anybody in their front line. And so they have these huge organizations. Like one guy had up to 1,200 people one time, and he only had 8 FLQAs. And so he had 1,200 people in levels 1 through 7, but wasn't focused on his own growth. And so he was leaving I think I calculated for him his first year was like $90,000 he left on the table by not having, all 6 or 7 levels unlocked for himself. And so it's taken him 3 years now to, course correct and get to those 30 FLQAs. And it's I think that's a delicate balance still.
And then we have there's some people just the opposite that have gone so wide
Correct.
With-
Yeah. GoGo's the
GoGo.
biggest example of that.
Excuse me,
I mean,
guys. Ashley or
Go-Go and
Ashley or
Mike's
Peggy,
card.
if you can just put your email in the chat, I'll send you what I
Sure.
have as far as what the gentleman
Oh,
was asking
yeah.
for.
Okay, awesome. I can find the chat. Where'd it go? Here we go. So
By
Talk
the
about
way,
that
the
with Go,
the
hold
mega
on.
producers are losing 30% rev share.
yeah, I mentioned that, right? And I don't know that I don't think it's 30. I thought it was 20, but
It's 30.
also that's considered an alpha influencer. They're the ones that gave up on their level 7 only in order to give back to you guys as levels 1, 2, and 3, right? So
Ashley,
that was
how many people have let all the levels open? Do you know?
I haven't seen, let me see. The last one I saw was in January. And
It doesn't have
I'm
to
going
be
to say
that,
it was
but-
like, it's 30 to 40 people, give or take. Yeah.
This is huge when we look at literally the sacrifice that those 30 to 40 people made. A lot of money to make sure that, you know, us group collectively, people just starting out in this company get paid on RevShare. I mean, who does that? You
It's
know,
only
people,
12%, right? That get 12 rev share, about 12% of the
Yeah.
people at EXP. So it's
And there
still
wasn't-
little.
and there wasn't that much more at KW either. You know, and that's one of the things that I
I
hope
think in the
people-
early days, it was probably more than it is now, because a lot of people don't, that I spoke to after I sold, they say, oh, we weren't focused on that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you just joined because of the cap? I mean, education.
So I'm glad that you're talking about that, because a lot of people, the other managers or company heads or whatever it is, they need to find something to recruit against us, right? To retain their people in talking to us. And they want to say, oh, it's not a production-based company. You know, it's all recruiting. It's all this. That's all you're going to have to do. If you know the statistic that seriously, how many, 12%, 10%?
12%. 12% of agents at EXP
12%
participate in RevShare.
agents participate in RevShare. What a great conversation to have when someone's telling you, oh, I can't come to EXP. It's a recruiting company, not a production-based company. Be able to talk about that, guys, and then be able to talk about where our production numbers are. And Ash, do you have some of those statistics on where we are? Because I think that's our numbers are so high in recruiting, and I'm Gene's the number person, and we'll get him to talk about this. Our numbers are so high, I'm sorry, in production, that it totally blows so many other companies away with what our agents are doing at a
We
very
were
high level.
ranked #1 for real trends, right?
That's
And
what
I believe so. Yeah. I just don't remember if it's units or volume or what which ranking it is. But, and here's the deal. At the end of the day, there is no rev share without production. Period.
that's a great one.
So any rev share that you're receiving is 100% based off production. What people don't understand, because they're so conditioned to Keller Williams model, which is a net profit sharing system, and you have zero control over the net profit. And obviously, with the way that the economy is going in the last 5 years, 3 years, whatever, there's less and less profits, right? In order to share and give back. And the difference being that our rev share model is based off of gross commission, right? It's off the top. It's more of a referral rev share model, because you're getting a piece of every single transaction, whether you're getting the highest payout or the lower payout, right? And that's something that a lot of people don't realize either, is that no matter how many FLQAs you have, you're always getting paid on all 7 levels. If you have somebody in your 7th level, you're getting something. You're just getting a much smaller payment if you don't have the qualified agents to go with it, versus the max rev share payout, the exponential versus what's the other one? I can't think of the word. Anyway, so it's all based on production, and there is no rev share without production. So it it's what you choose to focus on, like Peggy said, or Sammy said, is if you're not into attraction, don't be into attraction. That's fine. But that's free money you're leaving on the table. And this is something I've been preaching about for the last year or so now, is you need every penny possible right now, guys, just to maintain, because of what we're dealing with, and the fear mongering, and the, political, and all of the things with the NAR and buyer's agency and all the things, right? Let alone just the market itself, and rates, and the number of transactions that you're trying to get just to maintain your income level. So why wouldn't you do something that is there to take advantage of, right? When you're already doing it, you're already in conversation, you're already in a relationship, you're already, and you're not beholden to the profitability of the company, which even if you were, it's still better than almost any other real estate brokerage. Most, I think, lost this Q1 for the first time ever, really, or the largest loss we've ever seen. But it's still fractional compared to every other company's overall losses, right? So it's just, it's baffling to me. And I think it's no different than anything else. The amount of misinformation that people make choices on is just baffling.
Peggy?
Yeah.
I'd like to address international onboarding. I brought my first agent in Mexico on, and Gene's onboarding staff has no idea what goes on besides Canada and the United States. 72,000 of our agents are domestic, Canadian and American, or USA. 20,000 are international, but the onboarding is deplorable. Unfortunately.
Mexico specifically is very difficult because they don't have to be licensed in the country of Mexico.
Well,
there's not a lot of.
That's the case, Ashley, in most of the countries below our southern border. I mean, it's true in Panama, Belize, you name it. But
yes,
Mexico,
and there are some other
slowly. More and more states are requiring licensing. I don't know if you know that, but that's eventually gradually happening in Mexico.
I think Ash froze there. Ash froze for a minute, or you're frozen.
Ash, you're frozen in time.
She's totally, there she goes. Okay, we couldn't hear anything for the last couple of minutes.
I know, I stopped talking. My internet's been ridiculous this week. Yes, more and more countries are coming up to the 21st century and requiring licensing and things like this. I don't think that's ever going to change the knowledge base in onboarding in other countries, because there are so many different, like for us, we have 50 states that we have to have different boards and different state regulations. I was talking to somebody last week who's, he just got his license in Georgia, I think. And he still had to physically walk into the Georgia Real Estate Commission to get his physical license, guys. I'm like, we haven't had physical licenses in Texas in 20 years. Like legit. Even then they mailed them to us for the last 10 years that they were doing that. And so I was literally just like mind blown. Here we are, it's 2024, and this guy had to go into the office to get his license. And so imagine 50, right? 50 different states. But guess what? We all have the same dollar, right? We all have the same banking systems. We all have the same, compliance typically type of thing. And even then, we still have 50 different contracts, right? Or you've got the state of Ohio, who does not have state promulgated forms. I don't know if we have any of our Ohio people on here right now, but that is by county in the state Ohio. It is, I don't know how anybody does it. Like, how can you possibly function that way, right? Now, multiply that by, I don't know how many other countries there are in the world, but it's hundreds. And every single country has a different banking system, right? They're not all on the same thing. And every single country has different legal contracts. And then even within that country, their states or their provinces or whatever all have different things. So it is a difficult thing to maintain all of that from a onboarding setup type of situation. Plus, those other countries are not using our same technologies, right? KV Core, I don't think exists in other countries. So they're using different CRMs. Yes, they're using different CRMs. They may not have SkySlope. They may not have, they're just, it's a totally different beast to exist in another country. And John, just even building up Canada. I remember when KW opened and launched Canada, that was difficult because of conversion. And then you got conversion of all of these dollar amounts, right? So
everything's different. Like you said, I remember when you guys opened up in New York, and
Yeah.
Sam
Oh
and
my
Randy
gosh.
Wooters were telling me, it's like opening a different country.
It is.
Yeah. So
New York,
just New York.
Yeah, New York doesn't have an MLS, guys. New York doesn't have it. It does now, like a little bit, but it's more for the outer boroughs and the rest of the New York City, New York does not have an MLS. You, in order to sell something, have to go to 20 different brokerage websites to find all of the active listings. Can you imagine? That was 40 years ago in the rest of the world for us, right?
That's
that we were
another
doing
reason not to do business there.
It is exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So I hear you in that the onboarding is atrocious, Tucker, right? It is. And even with additional licensing and more countries, doing that, it's still always going to be an uphill battle because there's no way you can train.
From a percentage standpoint, our growth is going to happen more internationally.
I agree.
Than
Yes,
domestically. And we need to put pressure on the execs to write some of that.
Yeah. Well, so your person to talk to at the top of the top on the global side would be Michael, but also, oh my gosh, what is her name? I'll find it and put a chat for you later. It's not coming to me off the top of my head, but I'll tag you and tell you who to reach out to. Okay. And she'll help you and she'll get you the right people.
Probably if you go to workplace and look under global, it'll give you the, probably give you the information, I would think.
Also, Tucker, for your new hire, eXp Latino has really great videos to help new agents with all in Spanish, including the tours in the world are in Spanish now.
English too?
English and Spanish, yes.
Oh, good.
It's fully bilingual, and the contacts, you just have to look up the group, eXp Latino, and the ladies heading that group are Rebecca Soto. That's Rebecca, Rebecca Soto, Soto. And there's Rosie, Rosie Rodriguez. This is Rodriguez. And they've been wonderful. I'm part of that group, and I've learned so much, and they have people from Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, everywhere. Rosie herself
Thank you, Dee Dee.
You're welcome. It's a great group, and they're growing, and it's a wonderful education there.
Good.
That's what I love
Dee Dee
about
is
this group.
awesome. Dee Dee is awesome.
Yeah,
she is.
Dee Dee, you give us so much information. So these are great topics.
I learned from the best. Thank you.
And I love the fact that we all can jump in and, be able to say, okay, I'm having a problem with this. But we're solution based. That's the whole key, is that we need to have patience and we need to have the solutions. And just think, Tucker, let's just go back 7 years ago when they said it was atrocious just for us. Do you remember when it took 3 to 4 months to onboard someone just domestically?
True.
It was horrific.
That's true.
Absolutely 100%. So it's all an evolution. And when we come across these problems, we find solutions. Who else has got some questions? I love this open topic. hot seat. What else is going on? Put Ashley or I in the hot seat, or put Sarah in the hot seat, man. She's killing it there. Or she's doing something. But who else wants to jump in? Stacy, how are you doing today back there?
I'm doing good. I just went to this weekend retreat thing about inner wealth, and it's all about like mindset and how your mind attracts money. And I joined their mastermind, and I'm super excited to see what happens with that.
So share some of that with us, because like I said, life, we're creating our life. It's not against us, it's for us. So how's that mindset? We want that money. We want that life part to happen to me. So share with us, because we all have money blocks. I have a huge money block.
Oh, absolutely. And I never really looked at it like this until I went to this little conference this weekend. But you have this idea from past experiences, from what you were taught with your parents, things like that. And so you have like this money set where you subconsciously won't let yourself go above that. And if you do, and you don't work on yourself, you self-sabotage to make it so you're at that sub level that you subconsciously set in your mind. And, looking back on my life, and I'm looking back and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I have this ceiling that I have not been able to get past. And it's because of all these different blockages that I've never dealt with before. And so it's like retraining my mind. It was incredibly eye-opening.
Do you remember any exercises that they did, or was it just all release work, visualization?
It was a lot of meditation. There were a couple of meditation things that we did, and just like diving deep into past things that have blocked you from moving forward and moving ahead.
So I'm going to just piggyback on that, because I hired Deanne as my coach. She was a coach at our retreat, and I'm trying to get through all these blocks. And I don't know about you guys, but therapy, this, that, and the other thing, we always hear that things happened to us when we were a child. What happened in your childhood? And I've always said, oh yeah, I'm an adult, I can get past my childhood. So I'll tell you a quick story. On Fridays, my dad would come home and he would have saved up all of his change for the entire week. And we couldn't wait for Friday afternoon for him to get home, myself and my two brothers, because we would do like a scramble. And he would throw his change on the floor, and it was like literally crawling on the floor to get this money. All right. And my parents, they did the best that they could with the knowledge that they had, right? Wouldn't we all agree that that was what all of our parents did? Wow. The fights, the battles, the shit that I've gone through with my brothers over the year about fighting about money in the family and properties and this and that, and not sharing this fun game that happened every Friday. All it did was teach myself and my brothers to fight for money. And that is something that I'm right there with you, Stacy. I'm 67 years old, working through a money block that happened when I was 6 or 7 years old, on that fighting. And releasing it is it's so hard. So when you go back and you think about, okay, what's happening to me? What can I do? What can I change? What are the mindsets? What are the beliefs that we have? What are even in attraction? Do I deserve to make that kind of money? Oh, I'm not Brent Gove. I'm not Jean Frederick. I'm not that person. You are worthy. Thank you very much. And I am reading that book, Worthy. I got it, and it's on audio, and I'm listening to it, but it scares me to even listen to that, guys. I've listened to a couple of chapters and I'm afraid of it. So
Hey, have ChatGPT summarize it for you if you're afraid to read it or listen to it. I'm doing that with a lot of books.
have ChatGPT summarize the book?
Yep. It's
Okay.
a great tool.
I didn't think about it doing that way. But so what are some of the things that we're all stuck? We did, I think one of our best Wake Up Wednesdays was when we talked about money last year. We had people crying on this. I had people calling me after crying, and we don't want to deal with that. It's a taboo to talk about money. So Stacy, I want to ask you, what got you to the point that you said, I need to address this inner wealth? I see your t-shirt, Inner Wealth, that you have it. What got you to the point to even take this seminar?
Because I'm just so frustrated. Like I was always taught you work super hard for your money. You know, I grew up on a dairy farm. Like we freaking worked our asses off. And in order to do that, that's how you get money. And you know, I was just so sick of working my ass off every single day of my life and still only getting to this certain point. And I don't know what the turning point was necessarily. Is just that I'm just fed up. Like it's time. Like there's something going on that I am not aware of, that I need to flip the script. So I took it. I took the jump. I took the plunge. And yes, it costs money. And, you know, that's always been a problem for me to spend myself. Like I will take care of the entire world, but I don't know. I just never was one to like go out and spend money on myself. And I'm just like, I'm gonna do it, and it's gonna come back to me tenfold, and I'm just gonna do it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's amazing because we all have blocks on that. Thank you for being on. sharing that.
Stacey, do you plan out what you would do with the money that I mean, I visualize and I shared
Yes.
my affirmations last week, but do you visualize what you're going to do with that money? I mean, I have a whole list of projects.
Yep.
You know, I'm so attached to clean water. So that's one of my projects. Unhoused. I mean, I think that helps me to feel good about it's okay to ask for that money. And read the prayer of Jabez. It's this thin a book, and it tells you how God has all these doors open, it's all these cabinets full of blessings that you just have to ask for them. And we're taught not to ask for money. It's you know, it's a mindset.
Absolutely. For
It's a
sure.
huge
Yes.
mindset.
And I wrote out an entire like 2-page vision of all the things that I want to do with it and who I want to help and the different nonprofit organizations that I want to give to and what I want to do for them. And
Yep.
just, yes, there's so much. And like the more involved I get with retraining my brain and just, you know, getting better with my view on money, the more creative ideas God is putting into me. Like, oh my God, I want to do this now. And like every day is something different. It's awesome.
I did a vision board of what I want to do with my money. I actually went and did, you know, everything right there, put it out there. And, you know, it's a good reminder. I haven't taken that out in a while. I need to take it out and look at it. And it's okay to keep adding or adjusting on that. So thank you for sharing that.
I would
John, thank you for posting those documents.
I would suggest that everybody build a life estate and put it all in writing, because we never know when our last day is there. And with one of my best friends passing unexpectedly a week ago.
Oh my, I'm sorry.
Well, you know, his sister is having to guess at a lot of things. And it's, you know, we owe it to ourselves to memorialize what we want to do with that money, Peggy.
Yep. Yep. We really, we absolutely do.
Because if you don't do it, a lot of it dissipates into thin air.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, even Jack, my godson, who's 19, he has to get a will now. Because we're talking about this and Jack gets my estate, but what happens what happens if Jack and I, you know, pass away together or freak thing? And, you know, we started talking about where that would go. So good point to bring up. Absolutely good point to bring
I'll
up.
send you all my contact information, Peggy. You
Okay.
can put me in your will. Hey, folks, while we're on that, I just put something in the chat, and it was part of what I did in the last, you know, up till when I came back to eXp was I just really kind of got off the merry-go-round of life because I had the time and I really felt it was worth taking a good long hard look at the man in the mirror and seeing some patterns that weren't serving me well in my life. And I suggest everybody does that every once in a while. But part of what I do all the time, but certainly what I ran into, I think it was in January or February, is Tony Robbins put on like a 3-day seminar, which of course always, you know, anytime you go to a seminar, even online or in person, there's always leads to, hey, sign up for this and go from there. But I sat here at my desk and I went through the 3 days and went through all the motions. And what I just posted in the chat there was sort of like the map of what you have to do. And you know, everybody here on this chat here has been kind of touching on it. And it's like, take massive action. Like, take step one.
Mhm.
Take massive action. And I know, Peggy, you and I've talked over like in the last week or two since we've met each other, and it's like, you know, that's the other thing too, is all we are is a network of conversations. And that's what's beautiful about us meeting like this, is that and putting people in the hot seat, as you say, Ash, is just, you know, sharing what we're experiencing. And you should be able to go on YouTube and find that that 3-day seminar that Tony Robbins did. And I think probably everybody on this chat has probably at one time or another looked at Tony Robbins things. But I just really, even though I did it back in the 90s, I thought, hey, I'm going to do this exercise because I've got time on my hands and I wanted to do it. But that map was part of that 3-day seminar. And
He's doing one
it's
tomorrow, starting tomorrow.
oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that, because the thing is that when we do take time after we have conversations like that, where we do take time to just turn off the technology other than our computers and get into self-discovery and understanding what those blocks are, whatever they are, be it relational, financial, pick a topic. But yeah, it all led to me being back here on the screen with you. And that's part and parcel of the journey of looking at everything, surmising it all, understanding the blocks, understanding where I'm getting in my own way, or some of the choices that I'm making that aren't serving me
Mhm.
well, has brought me back to eXp after a 2-year break. So
That's
I'm
great.
really getting value out of these conversations. So thanks very much for including me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Why did you leave, John?
Well, we just did a big, Diane did a big press, like, you know, meet our agents sort of thing. But I was part of growth and expansion for Canada. In 2018, I came on board when we had 3 provinces and 180 agents. And so I came on after 25 years with Remax to start a new adventure, working in line with Sam Rodriguez and the rest of the growth team. In fact, Peggy, I think you and I met on a Zoom with Randy Wooters just before he left, I think. But yeah, so 3 years, man, every day doing stuff like this on phone calls in front of people, 3 years for like, you know, 12, 16 hours a day. And we went from 180 agents in 3 provinces to 9 provinces and almost 5,000 people. So I was pretty much burnt out. I was about a half a pound short of being a monster. And I had to kind of step away. I did the John Maxwell Leadership Certification and just spend some me time for the last couple of years. And then Phil Hahn reached out with the RevShare 2.0, which I've shared here, what he sent me, which kind of was a wake up. And I have a very deep faith. So for me, after much prayer and supplication, and then this came up, I went, okay, it's time to get back at the path I was on that I left in 2022. But that's a long-winded way of saying I was burnt out. I needed to take a break. I needed to recalibrate. And now I'm picking right up where I left off 2 years ago. And I'm ecstatic. I'm happy.
Where do you live
great.
in Canada, John?
I'm on the west coast of Canada. I live in Vancouver. We're the California of Canada. We are
California,
just
Canada.
north of Washington State.
It's beautiful there.
It is beautiful here.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Wow. Well, guys, thank you so much. As always, this hour goes by very quickly. It's really great. I have no idea. Well, I might know where I'm doing this from next week, but you might be surprised. So, you guys are the best. If you need me, hey, Brad, you've been quiet down there. You're in the corner of my screen. We need to catch up, Brad. If you need me, you know where to find me. You guys are the best. Thank you all for sharing. Stacy, just visualize for us that we are all a money magnet and my bank book is overflowing, right? It's overflowing. So love you all. I'll talk to you and I will see you next week.
Yeah, and we'll text you so that we can get the text every time.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Please, everybody
Appreciate it.
text me so I can get you on those lists. Thanks, guys. Bye.